the time that they were doing their APC madness. When they were shouting change, Jonathan, everything Jonathan was evil then. So these guys, Nebuchadnezzar, Jonathan at this. El Rufaya, left Kaduna on the day of election. They were holding election in Anambra. Okay, and they said, they said no movement. El Rufaya moved from Kaduna into an hotel. He is not an election observer. He is not a member of INEC or anything at all, right? But was just there. Like, I'm El Rufai. I can be anywhere I want. So they said no movement. Okay. And El Rufai insisted that he was going to go around and monitor election. You are not. Then they stopped him in his own hotel. And the next thing, El Rufai, quickly, boom. Peter Obi ordered his arrest and deported him back to Kaduna. And fortunately for El Rufai, unfortunately for Obi, when the media approached him at his own local government and said, we heard the news now that the El Rufai Kaduna Littlefinger has been arrested. It wasn't governor, it wasn't anything. No. He has been detained, not arrested. He has been detained in his hotel, not letting him move out of the hotel. And Obi said, what is he doing in Anambra State on the day of election? They just quoted that. Peter Obi arrested, and they have been repeating it. There are many people in northern Nigeria that believe that story. You cannot tell them anything else. Nothing. They have heard these truths years again and again, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't suit the narrative. Okorocha said he was going to give ID cards to northerners in Imo State when he was governor. It became a thing. When their 2023 election started, they removed Okorocha's name. They put Peter Obi. They said Peter Obi was the one deporting, and he also said he was going to give ID card to anybody, all the northerners in Anambra. A lot of stuff like that. But the person who can't say or do all of that is now running away from the people he did that with. He is now a persona non grata. He is now fighting dirty enough that they are now kind of putting his name where it truly belongs. They said these northern guys, they are plotting to overthrow Tifnumbu or escalate the terrorism in Nigeria. And his name is being mentioned as we speak. So he's fighting the battle of his life. They did all of this slandering. They did all of this ethnic baiting, tribal divisive politics, right? They did all of that. Now he is on the run himself, worried to death. Some will say Nakama, for those who believe in karma, right? I just believe it is the consequences of what being selfish can do to you. And there is no sympathy here for him. I want to see more. I promise you, I want to see more, right? So anyway, to every one of you that is with us this afternoon, I want to quickly implore you to take a moment now, okay? And then like this broadcast, all right? Like, take a moment, leave the comment section, go under the video and like it. Like it and collect your glory. I will give you glory. Yeah, you collect. I want this bountiful glory like this. Oh yeah, kia. 10 people.
Ẹ ṣe data sórí nọ́mbà tí mo pín sójú screen yẹn kẹ́ ẹ sì gba ògo yín lójú ẹsẹ̀ èèyàn 10. Ẹ ṣe data fún mi kẹ́ ẹ gba ògo. Ẹ ṣe data fún mi kẹ́ ẹ gba ògo yín lójú ẹsẹ̀. Nísinsìnyí lẹ gba ògo yín tẹ́ bá ṣe data tí data bá ti wọlé ẹ ó sì gba ògo yín lójú ẹsẹ̀.
Kẹsẹ̀ ni, oh yeah, claim it. I'm not even going to give it to 10. I'm giving it to 100 of you. So let's see the first 100 people. We are like over 600 on YouTube, I think. And about 100 of us are on Facebook, okay? So let's see the first 100 people that will collect their Ogo. Oh, yeah, collect your Ogo. Glory. I just wanted to go and pay your offering, like the broadcast, okay? Now let's leave Nigeria for a moment, okay? Let's go to Kenya. The president of Kenya, William Ruto, has now publicly accused Ford Foundation as the brain behind the protest in his country. And this is what supposed power ministry people, this is how they think. They blame everybody, they blame everything but themselves for their own misfortune. The man that was grandstanding a few weeks ago is back to that level of fantasizing himself enough that it kind of just will continue to call out those he suspected as his enemies, the people that want Kenya to fall. Not because you promised Kenyans that they will never be subjected to any slavish tax system. Then you made a 180-degree U-turn. Boom. You went back on to come and tax them and you blamed them for resisting you. I didn't even know. They said initially Ruto blamed the opposition. Of course, that's who they first blamed. Then after blaming the opposition, Ruto went on to go and blame Illuminati. I didn't see that coming, honestly. I checked all the line. They said they blamed the Illuminati. They blamed unknown forces. Ruto's government is now blaming the NGOs in Kenya for the escalated crime. They've also come together, by the way, and they said the bodies found, you see those bodies found in sacks in a dump site, yeah? They have said that it is a young man who is a serial killer that killed them and used the same sack. They said he's been doing it since 2022. And they have displayed all of the evidence they have collected from him. Okay? They said he killed 42 women. He's a serial killer. That the bodies found in the swampy dumpster, said the bodies were not the bodies of protesters. And the way they are putting it together, people don't believe them. It looks so crazy, right? You know what happened? Yesterday, for no reason, there was a young guy who has been doing the evacuation. You know, initially they found the 6 bodies. Then they found another 5 bodies. But somehow, the media and the government said, no, it's only 9 bodies, not 11. The young man that was exhuming and then excavating all these bodies from this swampy dump site in Wakire or so, I can't remember the name, sorry. The young man that was pulling them out said he pulled 15 bodies. The media is reporting 9. There are misinformation going on everywhere too. There is actually a video of the young man who said that I pulled 15 bodies. The serial killer is said to have killed 42 women. And like I said, the people don't think this is true. But here is the statement of the acting police IG. Just briefly.
At Kwale, we wish to inform the members of the public that we have made good progress. Today, early this morning, at around 1, we arrested the prime suspect named Collins Jumaisi Harucha. Yesterday we did recover 1 more body, bringing the total to 9 bodies recovered so far. The post-mortem examinations are happening today. We call upon any member of public with information that may aid the police in identifying the bodies or those who have cases of their missing persons to report to the DCI headquarters or the nearest police station. With respect to the very Kenyans who have lost their loved ones through this tragedy, we wish to give our reassurance that we are working tirelessly to conclude these investigations. We thank the members of the public who continue to assist us in the search process and continue to appeal to the public to remain calm and give officers space to handling the scene. That query, we wish to inform.
That is the young man, Collins, arrested, has been responsible for 9 bodies that they officially announced. 9 bodies. And what they got from him as evidence are this. They found the gloves, they found the duct tapes, they found the machete and all of that. But surprisingly, they burned down his house. Yeah, the authority burned down the guy's house after taking the evidence. I mean, they burned down the crime scene. Then you see that swamp, that dumpster where they found the bodies has been besieged with thousands of people who surrounded it. And yesterday, the police shot, not just yesterday, even 2 days ago, they were shooting at them to disperse them, shooting tear gas at them. Then overnight, the entire dumpster got burnt, like what you can call a coordinated burning, right? And everybody who got there this morning just were seeing the smoke. The dumpsters just received a fresh fire sort of tour. And that is why a lot of them are believing that that is sorry, I just see one comment now. If you are still watching me, what's your name? New Era Jordan, sorry. All right, thank you very much, Harry. God bless you. So now going forward, Ruto is clinging on to anything and is blaming just everything and everyone but himself. So that same yesterday, Ruto was speaking to a group of, supporters, I would say. And this was him yesterday. He blamed the Ford Foundation for sponsoring the protest in Kenya and for the killings of the people, an NGO.
We have no use for anarchy and violence and destruction of property and loss of life. Wale ambao wanasponsor hiyo violence, sisi tunawajua. And I want to call out those who are behind the anarchy in Kenya, those who are behind the sponsoring the chaos in the Republic of Kenya. Shame on them, because they are sponsoring violence against our democratic nation. Mimi nataka niulize watu wa Ford Foundation, watuambie hiyo pesa wanatoa ifanye fujo ndio wapate faida gani? We are going to call them out and we are going to tell them, if they are not interested in democracy in Kenya, if they are going to sponsor violence, if they are going to sponsor anarchy, we are going to call them out and we are going to tell them they either style up or they leave. Tunaelewana jameni ama tuelewani? Munataka watu watununulie vijana ati wafanye fujo katika Kenya? Vijana sio wa kufanya fujo. Vijana ni wa kufanya kazi. Na hiyo ndio mpango tuko naye ya kupanga ajira ya hawa vijana. Wakati tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana kwa affordable housing, tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana kwa hii markets, tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana kwa digital jobs, tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana kwa mambo ya export of labor, tunapanga ajira ya hawa vijana kwa mambo ya manufacturing na mambo ya value addition na mambo ya industrialization. kuna watu hawataki tupange vijana wafanye kazi, wanataka kupanga vijana wafanye fujo.
Amen. I don't understand what you talk about. I pretty much believe that he's talking about the government is doing everything to build infrastructure. The government is doing everything to do this. We are doing this, it's not really hard to tell, though, right? At least it mixed them up. But there is more trouble for Ruto than this issue of this finance bill and all that. They want him to go. They said a lot happened in Kenya when they were not paying attention. Kenya forced GMO. The Kenyan government forced GMO on their farmer in Kenya when it is meant to be illegal in Kenya. But they bribed their way. Monsantis, Abina Monatis, that one that is selling the GMO seed. So there is more trouble for Ruto. Listen to this, their people's parliament, their own people's assembly, discussing important issues that must be seriously ironed out and sorted before any progress can set to be made in Kenya. So Ruto would have to deal with this too. Listen to this conversation, please.
Small, they're not going to sway an entire election. Let's not look at them. But those things could sway a whole election. No one has ever looked keenly or talked about Smartmatic. And how
there's something I miss out. Kenyans were discussing how the GMO merchants, IMF and the rest of them, infiltrated their election in Kenya. That people should pay attention. There are some of the things that Ruto told them he will never do, and most of the things he's doing. Killing them slowly. How did they win elections? Who are those behind them, and who are those running the country now? Let's listen.
Small, they're not going to sway an entire election. Let's not look at them. But those things could sway a whole election. No one has ever looked keenly or talked about Smartmatic and how Kenyan data is diverted and changed. Or a logarithm is set to change or sway the data. That is what happens on Kenyan election. This is not local. This is not something done locally. It is an international manipulation of a Kenyan election. Someone needs to write a document about how we've lost our sovereignty. That's why when our president was sworn into office, he has done everything that's a foreign policy. It's not a Kenyan policy. In the Kibaki administration, we had public participation about GMO. Documents sit in parliament. But what did Ruto do? Immediately he came in, he lifted the ban on GMO. No public participation, nothing discussed in parliament, and GMO was allowed in Kenya. Every single loan that is coming to Kenya right now through IMF and World Bank has a social economic agenda attached to it. We give you this loan, you pass this bill, you pass this bill. That's why right now the agriculture bill has been passed. That's why right now it's a criminal activity to carry out agricultural activities unless you have a diploma in agriculture. Otherwise, you face a jail term or a bail. If anyone is willing, lawyers listening to this, please audit every single bill that has been passed in the Kenyan parliament. It's a foreign agenda. It's not a Kenyan agenda. Social economic structures, like on the 24th of July, there's a case, there are Kenyan agriculturists who have come together who are suing because it's now criminal to share seeds in Kenya. These are legislations that have gone through the parliament. That's why I would say this is the worst government I've ever seen as a Kenyan, because no one cares about the bills they have passed in that parliament. Why is our president jumping as high as the foreign masters want him to jump? Because they played a big role in his presidency. He has no stance to fight for the Kenyan people. That's why he was the best candidate for them. And if anyone feels like my sentiments are not true, tell me one single thing he has done that is good for the Kenyan people. Even this finance bill is all a social economic structure attached to IMF funding. When you study all these things that have happened in this country, you realize the foreign hand in the Kenyan democracy, it is so huge. And I will shock you when I tell you, even on the opposition side, high level, they always know where the presidency is going. I will shock you to tell you, even Raila knew, let me do this thing to maintain my backyard, to maintain the control of half of the country. He has a big following. To control Azimio, to have a big number members of parliament in parliament. But he knew he's not going to ascend to presidency because he sort of lost the willingness to keep fighting because it's a big monster to fight. When the election is done, he'll quickly be meeting the ambassadors. He'll quickly be meeting the EU commissioners because the players that be have to manipulate both sides. That's why even now, his AU seat is really attached to these foreign bodies. They just want to balance an equilibrium in Kenya because we are the products in the market. We are the slaves. They're squeezing every little life out of us as they manipulate a sitting government and manipulate an opposition. And as we sit here, discussions are underway of building a government of sort of national unity. I don't know if they're going to call it coalition. And they think that is going to quell the cry of Kenyans right now. They just want a working situation to continue pushing their social economic agendas, which are not Kenyan, which are not for the good of any Kenyan. And you will see they are going to have cabinet positions next week, and you will see what these people are doing. They are working together. If they were not working together, none of these players is coming out clearly and listening to what Kenyans are saying. Because what Kenyans are saying, this government is not fighting for us. Even on the smallest level, this government is not fighting for Kenyans. For the people that can study and do this, if you study the Venezuelan hand in the Kenyan government, it was huge. The foreigners played a big role in diverting the will of the people. And I will tell you again and again, what you see today is not what Kenyans voted. Thank you, Eric, for your time.
Oh. You heard all of that. And I bet a lot of you can relate. Yes. That is what the foreign interest does. Okay? They have all their hands over your elections and all of that, so that whenever there is a rigging in any part of Africa, and the rigging is done by the group of rogues that will protect their interests, right? They will quickly give them validation. And they will quickly roll out money for them as well to make them, they'll say, okay, go and do something and make your people look like you want to do something. And then they coil to them when they begin to economically manipulate the people of their countries. And that's some great insights from a Kenyan's perspective. So a lot of you can relate. A lot of us can relate. You have them, UK ambassador, American ambassador, this one ambassador, that one ambassador, here and there. They are hobnobbing with criminals. They are hobnobbing with election riggers, treasury looters. And they as well, as long as they are stolen loot, right? Their loot are protected, well protected in these countries, right? They can roll out the red carpet for them and collect these slavish policies from these guys. Because your people they are the product they are trading on. Isn't that unfortunate? Tomorrow is the D-Day in Kenya. Ruto must go. Or there will be civil war. You don't know that yet, Abby? People are angling for civil war in Kenya as we speak. You don't read. That's why government is doing everything to see if they can